Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. A very warm welcome once again to Newbury on Hennessy Day, one of the finest days the winter sport has to offer. Big names aplenty, the champion hurdler, Binocular, the best long-distance hurdler in the country, Big Bucks, and that's even before we've got to the big race, Denman, and can he do it for the third time? Delighted to say I've been joined on the punters panel here in Newbury this morning by one of the Hennessy legends here today, Mick Fitzgerald. He won in the colours that will be carried by Burton Port today, Trebolgan, for his then boss, Nicky Henderson, back in the mid-2000s. And I'm delighted to say I've also been joined by Rosella Short, who is part of the Racing for Change LoveTheRaces.com initiative and is also a broadcaster for Kempton Park Television. Mick, I'll come to you first. Hennessy Day, for anyone who lives in this area, for anyone who trains in Lambourne, rides around here, this is the big one.
Yeah, it is. It's the one everybody wants to win, and it was quite a big day for us, the Henderson team, and when we managed to win the race, because of course Nicky was based with Fred Winter, and you know, it's a race that, well, the whole month is really geared around going here.
And as far as you're concerned, you came back from serious injury to win the race, so it had that added poignancy, that added resonance.
Yeah, it did, and I think I was very lucky. I had a very willing partner in Trebolgan, and I probably have to say he carried me, I think, for the best part of 3 miles. I did the last half furlong, mind.
Trebolgan, very impressive on his day in the Hennessy here back a few years ago, and his connections represented today by Burton Port. Rosella, just tell us a little about Love the Races, the initiative you're involved with for Racing for Change.
Yeah, Love the Races is basically, as you say, a Racing for Change website. It's got several different people basically representing it. It's got the family man, the new race goer, the person that knows absolutely nothing about racing, has never been. Then it's got myself on there and an older lady as well. So it's got different age groups and different experience in the racing world as well.
And people can get involved by writing to you. You're doing a blog on there, experiencing your racing year, if you like.
Yeah, you can follow us at each meeting we go. So today there's a few of us from Love the Races here, and you can follow us all on there. We'll tell you where we're going, we'll write about it, we'll put little videos on there, you can become a fan, and you can just follow us along the journey, really, and get the real racing experience along the way.
A fantastic initiative, Mick.
I think it is, because, you know, anything that gets people interested and gets people through the gates and get them to see what a great sport we have to offer everybody, I think it has to be a good thing. So, you know, I'm happy to back any initiative that gets new people into our sport.
But the thing that really gets people captivated by this sport is the horses themselves, of course. I mentioned some of the star names, and if there's one box office name, as I put it on the morning line this morning, Rosella, it's Denman. That's why many people will be here today, to see this magnificent beast of a horse try and do it for the third time. Can he do it, do you think?
I would absolutely love to see him win today. I think it would be amazing for racing and an amazing training feat as well. He's got a lot of weight, hasn't he? So I don't know, it's a question to that, but I would love to see him win. And I think it's horses like that, as you say, that are an amazing thing for the sport and a following for everyone for a website like LoveTheRaces.com to latch onto and see them win.
How much harder is Denman's task this afternoon, Mick, than it has been in previous years?
Well, I think anybody who follows the handicapping system will see that he's having to give way to every other rival this afternoon, and some of them are young up-and-comers, which is always the hardest thing. You know, the older a horse gets, the harder it becomes, but it becomes even harder as he's kept climbing up the handicap. He's rated 182 now. He's giving a stone and 4 pounds to a horse that he beat 7 lengths in a Gold Cup in 2008. That's the magnitude of the task that's ahead of him. But the great thing is, Paul Nicholls, he's proved time and time again what a great trainer he is and how he's managed to get the best out of this horse time after time. He needs a career best. But I think if he wins, I, like all the other people here at Newbury, want to be here to see it, because it'll raise the roof here, because it'll be something that's never been done. Even the great Arkle couldn't win 3 Hennessy's.
And just as far as his opponents are concerned, it's probably the deepest field I can remember.
Yes, it is, because you've got horses like Weird Al. His form's been boosted by the horse that he dead-heated with at Carlisle, winning the Paddy Power Gold Cup. You know, this is the sort of quality that he's up against. He's not up against mugs here. These are some very good young horses. Burton Port, second in the Sun Alliance last year. Diamond Harry, a horse, of course, who's won races like the Challow. He's won the Fixed Brush Hurdle final up at Haydock, giving 12 pounds to Burton Port and beating him out of sight. You know, that's the quality of race we've got.
Rosella, if Denman doesn't win, and you have to go with your head rather than your heart, which horse do you think will?
Oh, well, I've gone for Burton Port, actually. I don't know if he will win, but I think his form from last year and the way he's come into the race with the trip and the ground conditions that should suit, I think he's got a great chance.
And is Rosella going to be collecting a winning ticket with Burton Port? You're very close to the Henderson yard, Mick.
He has done remarkably well, the horse, and he's put on quite a lot of weight, but a lot of that's been down to the fact that they've done a lot of conditioning work on the horse, and he kept improving last year. And I know that, you know, Nicky's very sweet on him. He gives the horse a very good chance. But, you know, Barbershop, first-time blinkers for the Henderson camp. He finished third in the race last year, so it'd be nice if he could win it. I think he'd get a little cheer. But Diamond Harry is one that I like. He's a horse who loves it here. Nick Williams, they had a good winner with a horse coming back from a layoff with Goldvein. They can get them ready first time. And I just think, you know, with ground conditions in his favour, Diamond Harry could be interesting. And
I'm going to go for Taranis in receipt of the weight. Former Grade 1 winner, trained by Paul Nicholls, ridden by Nick Schofield. He won the Argento Chase at Cheltenham last year. He's well in at the weights with a few of these, and I think he could be the one. Goes well fresh. Taranis for me. Diamond Harry, Mick's very keen on. Rosella likes Burton Port, but we'll all be cheering Denman, no matter what our tickets say, if he's still there, in with a shout at the last fence. Now, the parade of former Hennessy champions is about to take place in the paddock here, just to our right. Gingembre and Strong Flow, who have both found interesting alternative careers after racing, will be in the parade ring very shortly, winners of the race in 2003 and 2002 respectively. But prior to that, Mick and Rosella and I are just going to have a canter through the remainder of the card. It'll be more like a gallop through the remainder of the card. And Mick, very interesting runner in the first race, Secret World. This has been the talking horse of Lambourne for weeks. Is he going to win?
I certainly hope so. I do a little piece at the bottom of Nicky Henderson's Race and Post column, and I know that Nicky was very keen on me to putting this lad up, because he'd been showing all the right signs. And again, you know, he's a past master of getting these horses back. This horse hasn't run for something like 890 days, but that won't matter. He's fit, he's schooled really well, and he seems to have a real enthusiasm for the job. Anything like a semblance of his run in the Lockinge would see him a good thing here.
Well, I think he might be the speed horse, but I think he might get outstayed by Classic Vintage if he transfers his flat form to hurdles. Rosella, are you going to stick with Secret World here?
Well, I think he's got a great chance, and Classic Vintage, as you say, is another one. There's a few in this coming off the flat with good form, but Vesey Lodge I really like, actually, for Jenny Candlish. Impressive bumper debut, and I think could go well today.
Jenny's got a team in tremendous form. She had a really good season and won here yesterday with Barrafundle. So one vote for Vesey Lodge, one for Secret World, one for Classic Vintage. We will find unanimity somewhere down the line. Second race, Mick, it'll probably be here. Binocular. Does he just have to turn up? Or does he have a field to beat here?
He's got a real field to beat. He's got an unbeaten horse in Peddler's Cross, who's a very smart horse, a winner at Aintree and a winner at Cheltenham when winning the longer race, the 2 mile 5. But I just think that he's a stayer, Peddler's Cross. He's a stayer with speed. I was very impressed. I was up at Haydock when he won over 2 miles earlier on last year, and I couldn't help but be blown away by him. I think he's a very smart horse. I have no doubt in my mind, come next March, I would want to be on Binocular. But whether you think to yourself, is he going to be outstayed by a horse like Peddler's Cross today if it turns into a real stamina test? Because we're all freezing here. That's still coming out of the ground. It's going to make it a real test of stamina. And you just wonder, does that play to Binocular's strengths? He is the most proficient hurdler you will ever sit on. He's a brilliant hurdler. I was lucky enough to win in them at Ascot, and you know, I had a smile that I couldn't get it off my face for the whole day. He was that good. But I think he's a real speed merchant, and you just wonder today, is it going to be blunted by the fact that the ground's going to be so sticky?
Do you share similar concerns, Rosella?
Yeah, I do, and I also I think a bit of the forgotten horse is Starluck as well. Goes really well fresh, and has some good form to his record. So I think he's another danger.
And if they don't go much pace, that'll definitely bring Starluck into it. He's a horse with plenty of flat speed, and this flatter course, as opposed to Cheltenham, rather more undulating, should suit today. Amateur Riders Handicap, the third race, looks a very open race. A selection, I think, all that's required here before we press on.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to give someone a bigger price and say Sarah's Gift.
Sarah's Gift for Lorney Hill, whose horses have been running really well, Mick.
I think Noon de la Tinte could be interesting. Jack Sherwood, of course, a son of Simon Sherwood, synonymous with Desert Orchid, but it'd be great for him if he was to ride a winner here at Newbury.
He looks a talented young rider to follow, as does Tom Cannon, who's riding Marty's Mission, and I think at a big price he could go really well. Travelled well for a long way at Cheltenham last time before appearing to get tired. Good race, the fourth, at 1:30 for the Fulk Walwyn Trophy. Fulk Walwyn, one of the great legends of this place, Hennessy hero many times, and it's great that he's remembered with such a competitive race this afternoon. Stoney's Treasure represents Alan King. He's my idea of the winner, Wayne Hutchinson. his de facto stable jockey in Robert Thornton's absence, has been riding really well. Rosie, where are you going here?
Yeah, it's my idea of the winner as well. That good third, bit of experience in his chasing debut, so that should put him spot on for today, I hope.
Yeah, and he's a horse who always looked as if he'd do better over fences, Stoney's Treasure, and he was a fair hurdler.
Yeah, and of course Alan King, he's red hot at the minute as well. So very, I think you dismiss any Alan King horse now at your peril. But I'll be cheering for Bijou. Felix de Giles rides this one for Nicky, and I'll be hoping this one wins.
Yeah, I've already been given a quiet word for Bijou by one of the Newbury executive who's quite closely involved in the ownership of the horse.
There you go.
There we are, 2 quiet words for Bijou, but Stoney's Treasure for Rosella and myself. The intermediate hurdle is registered as the Jerry Fielden race. It used to be a champion hurdle trial, but it's been changed in terms of its complexion of late, and it's now a handicap and a very competitive race because of it. Mick, who do you like here?
Well, it's 2 really. I'm very keen on the Betchworth Kid, fit from the flat. Again, Alan King's horse is in much better form this year. I think this horse, he could just step up to the level that he showed on the flat. If he does, well, then he's got to have a big chance. But one right down the bottom, Rebel Dancer, could be very interesting. He was upsides nearby when he fell at the last at Bangor. I think he looked like he was definitely going to finish second on that occasion, but nearby came out and won again at Aintree in a competitive handicap, having gone up significantly in the weights. I have a little sneaky for him, so Rebel Dancer is a good each way.
And Rosa?
Yeah, well, Tocco Ferro did really well at Ascot recently, and it obviously comes here from the Inform Emma Lavelle stable, but we'll have a slight weight rise. So that one I thought was interesting was Advisor, actually, and maybe a bigger price for Paul Nicholls. Had a breathing operation, was a bit disappointing end of last year, but maybe that's put him right.
Well, we've talked about the Hennessy. The second feature on the card, aside from that and the fighting fifth, is the race that comes up as race 6. I think that we'll just keep this very simple, Mick, before we move on to the last. Big Bucks, can he be beaten?
No.
Big Bucks, can he be beaten?
No.
Big Bucks can't be beaten. That's all you need to know. And one final selection to go home. If you've done all your money in the Hennessy, which hopefully you haven't, you'll all back Denman and they've come home by 20 lengths. The roof will have lifted off. You all want to celebrate. Play up some of your winnings. Mick, the final race.
I'm going to stick with Working Title. He hasn't lived up to the expectations we've seen of him over fences, but he's won twice over hurdles this year. So that means his chaser mark hasn't really been changed. I'm going to stick with this one.
Working Title for Mick. I'm going with that horse as well, Rosella.
Yeah, I am too.
We're unanimous for the final race.
Unanimous vote.
That's what we wanted. Working Title, Nap in the last race. My thanks to Rosella Short and to Mick Fitzgerald.